The first time my parents tried to force my door open, I was standing on the other side, holding the lock with both hands. "Open it, Lila," my mother snapped. "This house belongs to family. My name is Lila Carrington, and I bought that house with 12 years of double shifts, sleepless nights, and a silence I never complained about." Through the peephole, I saw my father's jaw tighten, my brother pacing behind them like a restless shadow. He wouldn't look at the door. Wouldn't look at me. "You owe us," my father said, voice low but sharp. "After everything we did for you." Everything. That word always sounded heavier coming from him. I unlocked the chain just enough to speak clearly. "You bought Ethan a business. You didn't build mine." My brother finally stepped forward, eyes bloodshot, expensive jacket hanging loose like it didn't belong to him anymore. "It's complicated," he muttered. "No," I said. "It's not." They exchanged a look, quick, silent, dangerous. Then my mother smiled. Not warm, not loving, calculated. "That business," she said softly. "It wasn't your name." The hallway tilted for a second, like the floor forgot how to stay still. "In my name?" I repeated, the words tasting wrong the moment they left my mouth. My mother nodded, calm now, almost patient. "Tax reasons. It was temporary. We just needed someone responsible." Responsible. That was always their word for me when they needed something signed, covered, cleaned up. I looked past them at Ethan. He leaned against the railing, jaw clenched, avoiding my eyes like they burned. "You sold it," I said. He exhaled sharply. "I didn't have a choice. You had a business handed to you." "I had pressure," he snapped, finally looking at me. "You think it's easy living up to expectations you never asked for?" A bitter laugh escaped me. "You sold it for cars, parties, and whatever else you call pressure." Silence stretched, thick and suffocating. Then my father stepped closer to the door, lowering his voice. "The sale created liabilities. Legal ones. Since it was in your name, those fall on you." My grip tightened on the edge of the door. "No," I said quietly. My mother's smile returned, colder this time. "Yes," she whispered. My ears rang, drowning out everything except the word liabilities echoing like a threat I hadn't agreed to carry. "You used my name without telling me," I said, forcing each word steady. "That's fraud." My father scoffed, dismissive as ever. "Don't be dramatic. It was family business." Family. That word never felt like it included me. I stepped back, opening the door just enough to face them fully. The air between us felt charged, like something was about to snap. "How much?" I asked. Ethan hesitated. That was enough. "How much?" I repeated, louder. "Almost 2 million, he muttered. The number hit harder than I expected. Not just the amount, the carelessness behind it. "You destroyed something I didn't even know I owned," I said. I needed to breathe. Ethan shot back. "You wouldn't understand." "You're right," I said coldly. "I don't understand burning a future for a temporary escape." My mother stepped in, voice silk over steel. "That's why we're here. Transfer the house. It covers most of it. We'll handle the rest." I stared at her, at them, and finally saw it clearly. They weren't asking. They were collecting. I slowly closed the door halfway. "No," I said. That's when my father's hand slammed against it. The impact rattled through the frame, sharp and final, like a line being crossed in real time. "Don't do this," my father warned, his voice no longer controlled. "You'll make it worse." Worse. I looked at his hand pressed flat against my door, and something inside me hardened in a way it never had before. "You already made it worse," I said. My mother's expression flickered, irritation slipping through her polished calm. "We're trying to fix a situation you're legally tied to." "I didn't sign anything." "You signed enough," she replied, her tone tightening. "Documents. Accounts. You always trusted us." That part was true, and it felt like the worst mistake of my life. Behind them, Ethan ran a hand through his hair, pacing again, restless and cornered. "Lila, just transfer it. It's a house. You can start over." I let out a slow breath, studying him. "You already started over," I said quietly. "With my name." Silence cracked between us. Then my father pushed harder against the door. "Open it," he demanded. I didn't move. His shoulder shifted. And in that second I realized they weren't bluffing anymore. The door jolted inward an inch, the chain straining with a sharp metallic cry. "Stop," I shouted, bracing my body against it. My father didn't. He pushed again, harder, like breaking into my home was just another decision he'd already justified. "Open the damn door, Lila." My heart pounded, not from fear, something colder than that. Clarity. I stepped back just enough to grab my phone from the console beside me, never taking my eyes off the widening gap. "You really want to do this?" I asked. My mother's voice cut in, tight and urgent now. "We don't have time for your stubbornness. This is already spiraling." "Then let it spiral," I said. Ethan looked at me, then really looked. Something in his face cracked. "Dad, stop," he muttered. But my father was already shifting his weight again, ready to force the chain. That's when I pressed call. The sound of the line connecting filled the space like a boundary being drawn. "Yes," I said calmly. "I need the police." Everything froze. My father's hand dropped slightly. My mother's eyes widened. And Ethan stepped back, like he finally understood what this was becoming. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was loaded, fragile, like one wrong move would shatter everything beyond repair. "You're calling the police on your own family?" my mother said, her voice trembling in a way I'd never heard before. I didn't answer her. I kept my eyes on my father. For the first time, he looked uncertain. Not angry. Not in control. Uncertain. "Yes," I said into the phone, steady. "They're trying to force entry. I'm inside alone." The operator's voice grounded me, calm and precise, asking questions I answered without hesitation. Address. Situation. Immediate threat. Every word I spoke made it real. "Lila," my father said, softer now. "You don't understand the consequences." I met his eyes through the narrow opening. "No," I said. "You don't." Behind him, Ethan's shoulders sank. The fight drained out of him, replaced with something closer to regret. Or maybe fear. My mother stepped forward again, voice low, desperate. "We can fix this quietly. Hang up." I shook my head. No more quiet fixes. Sirens echoed faintly in the distance. And for the first time in my life, they weren't coming to protect them. They were coming because of them. The sirens grew louder, cutting through the night like a truth no one could ignore anymore. My father stepped back first. Not far. Just enough to create distance from the door and from what he had done. My mother's face shifted, the calculation returning fast, replacing the panic. "We should go," she whispered. Ethan didn't move. He was staring at the door. At me. "I didn't know it was in your name," he said quietly. I held his gaze. "You didn't ask." That landed. Harder than anything else I'd said. The red and blue lights spilled across the walls through the window, flashing in slow pulses. Reality had arrived. My father straightened his jacket, trying to recover something that was already gone. "This isn't over," he said. But it didn't sound like a threat anymore. It sounded like someone realizing they'd lost control. The officers stepped out of the car, their presence immediate, undeniable. My mother reached for Ethan's arm. "Come on." This time, he pulled away. "No," he said. She froze. I did too. Ethan looked at the officers approaching, then back at the door. And in a voice I barely recognized, he said, "It's my fault." The words hung there, fragile but undeniable. For a second no one moved. Not my parents. Not me. Not even the officers stepping onto the porch. "It's my fault," Ethan repeated, louder this time, like he needed it to be heard or believed. My mother grabbed his arm again, tighter. "Stop talking." He pulled away. "No. I used her name. I signed things I shouldn't have. I sold it knowing it wasn't mine to touch." The officers exchanged a glance, their focus shifting instantly. My father stepped in, voice sharp again. "You don't know what you're saying." "I do," Ethan said. "For once, I do." Something in my chest loosened, slow, unfamiliar. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But something lighter than anger. The chain between the door and frame felt heavier than before as I unlatched it and opened the door fully. I didn't step back. I didn't invite them in. I just stood there, watching, listening, choosing. The officers began asking questions, separating truth from control, from excuses, from years of silence I had carried alone. And, for the first time in my life, I wasn't the one holding everything together. I was the one letting it fall. And I didn't try to stop it.